Silence is not the absence of power. It is the consolidation of it. In a world where everyone rushes to be heard, where opinions spill out without thought, and where speaking is mistaken for strength, the one who holds his tongue and sharpens his mind is the one who ultimately dominates. Niccolò Machiavelli, the master of political strategy and manipulation, understood the game better than anyone. He knew that words, when used carelessly, could become a man's undoing, but when wielded with precision, they could shape empires. Most people speak to be noticed, to be validated, to fill the void of insecurity. But those who practice silence exude an aura of control. When you refuse to give away your thoughts freely, people begin to wonder what you know that they don't. The ability to withhold information, to leave others guessing, creates power. Your silence becomes a weapon, one that makes people anxious, one that forces them to fill the gaps with their own assumptions. In every social and professional battlefield, those who speak less and observe more always hold the upper hand. When you remain quiet, you force others to reveal themselves first. The human need to fill silence compels people to speak without thinking, exposing their insecurities, weaknesses, and ambitions. This is where your power lies. By resisting the impulse to speak, you let the other person reveal their strategy, their intentions, and their flaws. It is like a game of chess where your opponent moves blindly, unaware that you have already mapped out the entire board. Silence is not just about listening. It is about strategic absorption. You take in the words, the body language, the emotions behind the speech. You observe patterns, detect lies, and assess power dynamics. And when you finally do speak, you do so with the knowledge of everything that has been revealed to you. The person who speaks impulsively hands over their mind on a silver platter. The one who listens first can tailor their words to manipulate the battlefield. But silence alone is not enough. To truly master the art of power, you must learn when to strategically break your silence. Machiavelli never advocated for perpetual muteness. Rather, he encouraged measured, purposeful speech. You speak when your words serve a function, to influence, to manipulate, to command. Your words should be like a blade, unsheathed only when necessary and striking with precision. Imagine walking into a meeting where voices clash like swords, each person desperate to prove their intelligence, their authority, their dominance. You, however, sit back and observe. Your silence makes you unpredictable, mysterious. People begin to wonder what you're thinking, and in their attempts to gauge you, they expose their own cards. Then, when the moment is right, you speak, but not to fill the air with unnecessary noise. You speak to direct the conversation, to influence decisions, to plant ideas in the minds of those who have already exhausted their energy in reckless chatter. A single well-placed sentence holds more weight than an entire monologue. Your words should be deliberate, chosen with precision. They should plant seeds of doubt, confidence, curiosity, whatever serves your agenda. The key is to make people wait for your words. When you rarely speak, every word you do say carries weight. greatest leaders and manipulators in history understood this. Julius Caesar, Napoleon Bonaparte, even modern political figures, all employed the art of strategic silence. They knew that mystery breeds power, that people fear what they cannot predict, and that a man who speaks too much loses his ability to command respect. When you are silent, you create a vacuum, and people will try to fill it with assumptions. These assumptions can be used to your advantage. Let them think you are reserved, calculating, powerful. Let them underestimate you, because when the moment arrives for you to make your move, they will be unprepared. Napoleon would often remain silent in meetings, forcing others to stumble over their own words in an attempt to impress or persuade him. He used silence to make others feel uneasy, uncertain. And when he finally spoke, his words carried the weight of authority because they were rare and well calculated. In social settings, silence makes you magnetic. People are drawn to mystery. The loudest person in the room is often the weakest, compensating for their insecurities with noise. But the one who speaks less, who observes and only speaks when necessary, holds a certain allure. You control conversations without needing to dominate them. Others will listen more intently to the words you choose to say because they are rare, carefully placed, and thought-provoking. A silent person exudes an air of competence, wisdom, and intrigue. It forces people to lean in when you finally do speak, to crave your insights. The less you give away, the more people desire your presence. Mystery is one of the strongest weapons in human interaction, and silence is its foundation. But how do you cultivate this power in your daily life? The first step is self-control, the impulse to speak, to interject, to voice every thought that comes to mind must be disciplined. Train yourself to listen instead. When someone speaks to you, do not immediately respond. Let a pause linger. This makes the other person uncertain, anxious even, and they will often try to fill the silence with more words, giving you even more insight into their thoughts. This is a psychological advantage. The second step is analysis. When you observe without interruption, you begin to see patterns in people's behavior. You start recognizing their motivations, their fears, their desires. This knowledge gives you leverage. You will know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it for maximum impact. Silence allows you to gather intelligence before making your move. Finally, the last step is execution. When you do choose to speak, ensure that your words are deliberate, commanding, and insightful. Speak with confidence, even if your statement is brief. A well-placed sentence delivered with conviction is far more effective than a barrage of meaningless words. People will begin to value what you say because they will recognize that you do not waste words. Your silence has built an aura of authority around you, and when you speak, people listen. Machiavelli would remind us that power is not about volume, it is about control. And control is not just about silence, but about the strategic use of speech. Knowing when to be silent and when to speak is what separates those who are controlled from those who are in control. In a world of constant noise, be the one who chooses their words like a king sharpening his sword. Speak only when it serves your purpose, when it shifts the tide in your favor. Let your silence be your greatest weapon, and when you finally break it, let your words reshape the battlefield. This is the essence of Machiavellian strategy. Speak less, observe more, and when you do speak, make sure it is with the weight of a ruler dictating his empire's fate. Silence is not weakness. It is the ultimate form of power.